Got it. Gonna stream this meeting live. That means we gotta go and share as soon as I can pause this one. Pausing. There we go. We go here. We go back here, and we're gonna share the screen. And here we are. There we go. We are live, so we're going to select all and perhaps begin to speak.
Globally prepared evidence-based work in Nevada Department of Education and Results for America Legislative Committee on Education, June 15, 2022. Agenda. National Landscape of Evidence-Based Work in Education, bullet, Results for America. Nevada's evidence-based work to improve student and school outcomes, bullet, Office of Student and School Supports Battle-Born Age Globally Prepared. Advancing Evidence-Based Policy and Practice in States and School Districts, a presentation for the Nevada Interim State Legislative Committee on Education, June 15, 2022. RFA supports government to get better, faster, and more equitable outcomes. Results for America is helping policymakers harness the power of evidence and data to make progress on the world's greatest challenges. Our mission is to make investing in what works the new normal. When policymakers make decisions, they must start by seeking the best evidence and data available, then use what they find to get better results. 4. We work with more than 275 cities and 36 states. WorkWorks Cities and WorkWorks Certified Cities SEA Fellows, Workforce Fellows, both SEA and Workforce Fellows 9E. We do this through a three-part approach: standards of excellence, creating North Stars for how government can effectively use data and evidence to invest in what works. Federal Standard of Excellence for federal agencies. State Standard of Excellence for state agencies. What Works Cities Certification for city government implementation, supporting policymakers committed to investing in what works through tools, resources, and technical assistance. General Policy Development and Advocacy, bullet, fellowships, 18-24-month intensive engagements with government leaders, bullet, cohort learning, 2 to 3 year engagements with city-based teams to implement evidence-based intervention, bullet, technical assistance via What Works Cities partners. Boot camps and sprints, short-term engagement to share learnings and replicated proven solutions. Mobilization, activating champions committed to investing in what works. Policy reports, research briefs, and case studies. Congressional outreach, What Works Caucus, Capitol Hill briefings. Events, both virtual and in person, bullet, earned in social media. Advisory committees, federal, state, What Works Cities, Education, Workforce. Moneyball for Government Campaign 6. Our education work focuses on building conditions for learning and improving standards. U.S. Department of Education participates in Federal Standard of Excellence, integrates state education agency best practices into State Standard of Excellence implementation. State Education Fellowship, or 18-month fellowship with 10-12 Mobilization. Moneyball for Education Federal Policy Report. Next Generation ESSA definitions, forthcoming federal work on ESSA evidence provisions and higher education case studies, Nevada and blogs, Ohio events, both virtual and in person, articles in .eds, the 74. Education Week * 2022 target for education work is combined with federal and state targets. Launching early childhood education work in 2022. State education agencies to focus on advancing a strategic priority to leverage federal dollars to build evidence ed research for recovery projects, issuing research briefs on best evidence for education leaders to address COVID-19 related issues, piloting solutions, and capturing learnings in Rhode Island on DC7. A cornerstone of RFA's education work is our State Education Fellowship Program. -2,100 districts, -19,500 school students, 2M students in low-performing schools. Current focus has been on helping Cs leverage unprecedented federal Through the American Rescue Plan, ARP, states received $122.7 billion in federal stimulus funds to invest in education. This represents the largest ever investment of federal dollars to build an evidence-based education system that leads to more equitable student outcomes. Across sectors, the federal government is signaling an expectation that states use data and evidence to funds, strategically invest recovery funds, prioritize equity, and evaluate the impact of their investments. JIBESULTS RORANERICA. Data and evidence expectations for education ESSER, the third ARP provisions. Ensure equal or increased funding for high-need districts using disaggregated data. Reserve 7% of state set-asides for evidence-based intervention to address learning loss, summer learning, and after school. Identify student needs based on academic and student outcome data. Evaluate the impact of evidence-based investments. 11 results for America 10. 11 state capacity is the missing puzzle piece we already have. Bullet, largest one-time federal investment in education in history. Clear expectations that states build a culture of data and evidence use and generation, and bind among states to the value of ESSER and ARP investment analyses for the purpose of learning about investment impact, identifying bright spots, and continuous improvement. 12 state capacity is the missing puzzle piece. What states need is investment in their capacity to do the ESSER plus ARP investment analyses that will help them bullet, ensure the success of their investments, improve student outcomes, and build a more equitable education system. RFA aims to meet this need by helping SEAs grow their internal research capacity through Cohort 3 of the State Education Fellowship, a national coalition, and an onboard ramp for states with new research teams. RFA will help grow states' capacity to carry out and use localized ESSER and ARP investment analyses. Nevada is a leader in the evidence-based policymaking in space and is positioned to maintain and even strengthen that position. Nevada's investment in educational evidence-based work battle-born, globally prepared 14. Actualizing evidence base in Nevada Assembly Bill 7, 2017, Section 2.3, the statewide plan for the improvement of pupils, STIP, must include strategies based upon scientifically based, evidence-based research that will strengthen the core academic subjects. Senate Bill 178, 2017, Section 9.3, a public school that receives money pursuant to Section 8 of this Act must use the money only on programs or services which are evidence-based, battle-born, globally prepared. 15. Using evidence-based strategies as part of the continuous improvement process, battle-BOR, globally prepared. 16. Strategic budgeting, school performance plans. Redesign school performance plan requires schools to think strategically about the interventions they will be implementing and define the evidence base for them. Improvement strategy. Evidence level 1- strong semicolon 2- moderate semicolon 3- promising. Demonstrate the rationale, intended outcomes. Insert after event 4 action steps. 1. Insert during event 5 resources needed. I insert during event 5 challenge gesto tackle. I insert during event 5 equity supports. What specifically? WILWEDOTOSUPPORTTHFOLLOWINGSTUDNTGRUPSARUNDTHISGOAL. ABAL-IPARED Nevada Department of Education, a continuous improvement process beta. Guidance document Appendix 5. Evidence-based interventions, strategies and activities utilize outcome data as a way to determine effectiveness, ensuring equitable outcomes for all students. Leads in schools can increase the return on their investments of funds by spending their funding on what has been proven to be effective. Utilizing evidence-based interventions promotes continuous improvement, builds bodies of evidence, and develops learning systems. Ways to strengthen the effectiveness of funding investments include identifying local needs, selecting evidence-based interventions that leaders and schools have the capacity to implement, planning for and then supporting the intervention, and examining and reflecting upon how the intervention is working. This using evidence to strengthen education investments. Non-regulatory guidance shares some key steps in helping leaders and schools select, implement, and review interventions that improve outcomes for students. When selecting evidence-based interventions, leaders and schools should pay specific attention to their local context. Comparing evidence-based interventions guides the determination about the degree to which a particular intervention aligns with a given context. Moreover, investing in robust evaluations and transparently sharing results can increase trust and buy-in and allows leaders and schools to point to strong evidence of impact. This intervention evidence review guides the review and comparison of interventions that target an identified need. In addition, this LEA guidance for evidence-based interventions reflects on ways in which an LEA can provide guidance to schools on evidence-based interventions. Lastly, Nevada's evidence-based interventions for school transformation list can be a helpful resource for schools and leads to identify partners that can help provide supports to improve student outcomes. Battle-born globally prepared 1702C. Strategic budgeting, grant applications. Evidence-based interventions have also been embedded within grant budget applications. Compels districts to ensure they are spending their funds on interventions, strategies, and activities that have been proven to be successful and that are aligned to their needs and specific context. Also provide technical assistance on evaluating those interventions to determine they are having a positive effect, and if not, then readjusting as needed. Districts are also asked to include how they will monitor and evaluate their interventions, strategies, and activities. Battle-born, globally prepared co. Strategic budgeting. Grant applications prioritize needs and goals. Humboldt County SD 07 Public District FY 2022 Consolidated Reverend 2 District Consolidated Plan. Go to LEA questions to consider to inform outline summary. 1. How do student outcomes compare to identified performance goals? 2. Are there inequities in student resources or outcomes within the state or district? 3. What are the potential root causes of the gaps with performance goals or inequities? 4. How were needs prioritized when several were identified? 5. How are prioritized goals aligned to SEA areas of critical alignment? How are school needs prioritized to LEA goals? 6. What evidence-based interventions and strategies were identified to help close identified gaps? 7. What is the likelihood of success in implementing the selected intervention strategies? Local capacity helps predict the success of an intervention, so the available funding, staff resources, staff skills, and support for interventions should be considered when selecting an evidence-based levels resources. Pershing County SD 14 Public District FY 2023 Consolidated Reverend O Title I. Go to bullet evidence-based levels resources link. Works Clearinghouse WWC. How to use the WWC to identify SO evidence ratings. Evidence-based interventions for school transformation list description resource provides districts, schools, and educators with the existing research they need to make evidence-based decisions on different programs, products, practices, and policies in education. This animated video shows how administrators, teachers, and others can use the What Works Clearinghouse, or WWC, to find research that aligns with ESSA Tier 1 and Tier 2 evidence ratings. This list serves as a resource to districts and schools to identify and match their school's needs with evidence-based providers focused on 2 NDE priorities. 1. School leadership development and capacity building, and 2. Data-informed decision-making. It includes multiple categories such as literacy and family engagement. Black Square, safe and healthy students. A minimum of 20% of grant funds must be spent on this focus area if the LEA receives $30,000 or more in Title IVA funds. $15,600 amount of funds to be spent in support of the focus area. Describe the evidence-based interventions in levels 1.2, 3, or 4 to be budgeted in support of safe and healthy students. Include in the narrative response an explanation of how the proposed use of funds directly align with the priority needs determined in the district's comprehensive needs assessment. Battle-born globally prepared. Evidence-based interventions for school transformation list serves as a resource to districts and schools to identify and match their district schools' needs with evidence-based providers. First created in 2017 and updated regularly since latest list is 2022. To strengthen our support to districts and schools in identifying evidence-based interventions that align with our big bets and continuous improvement work, the NDE Office of Student and School Supports welcome submissions through a request for qualifications (RFQ) process. Partnership with UNLV's College of Education to conduct rigorous reviews of interventions to determine whether they meet the national standard of evidence base and what level of evidence each intervention meets. Battle-born H globally prepared 20. Guidance, technical assistance, and professional development for evidence-based work. Equity and evidence convening. This statewide convening focused on implementing and sustaining evidence-based programs and interventions. It included discussions around equity in schools and how we can best serve all students in Nevada through the implementation of data, research, and evidence. Additional statewide sessions. Evidence-based interventions for school transformation list, deep dive. Evaluating research and evidence. Contextual considerations in selecting evidence-based interventions. Effective evaluations for continuous improvement. Doing what works. Addressing learning change with evidence-based strategies. Additional and ongoing technical assistance and guidance during ongoing meetings and convenings. Battle-born globally prepared 21. Next steps for Nevada evidence-based work. Continue to update evidence-based intervention list for school transformation. Continue to provide guidance and technical assistance to leads in schools. Create What Works Nevada Clearinghouse for Education. Statewide resource that has information and guidance for district schools that will help them identify and implement evidence-based interventions for improved student outcomes as they strategically plan and budget. Assist districts and schools with using evidence-based strategies as they engage in the continuous improvement process. Encompass cross-curricular supports both at the national and local level to ensure that state education funds are being used on interventions and activities that have been proven to work and be successful. Help education practitioner, teachers, local administrators make evidence-based decisions so that they can provide equitable access to quality services for students. Embed a systematic, rigorous review process and transparent reporting. Help build the evidence base in Nevada specific to our local context. Battle-born H globally prepared 22. Battle-BOR globally prepared.
This is crazy. That's why it's important for you people to get up and pay attention. This is going on today, later on. But understand, they have an obligation to the data. And for the people who are not involved in the process of ensuring equity and access for all of the people, my light is just horrible, then you all people just need to wake up. So like, subscribe, follow my podcast on Anchor, wake up and pay attention to what's happening on YouTube. And tomorrow is a whole new day. So pay attention, pay attention, pay attention.